Hello, I'm Grimgrindle, and welcome to Vlogcast number 10. That's right, folks, we've reached double digits. Now, not to beat around the bush, but 95% of this vlogcast is because of the recent Star Wars celebrations. There's a lot to talk about, folks. But before we do get into any of that, if you're wondering what the game I'm playing in the background here is Yooka-Laylee on the Xbox One. Now, a lot of you who subscribe to this channel are fans of Banjo-Kazooie, or more specifically, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. However, if you have in fact also played and also enjoyed the first two games, Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, this game will definitely be up your alley. I will be doing a full review of it at some point in the near future, but for now, I'll just say that it's extremely enjoyable, extremely addictive, and perfectly captures the feel and humour of Banjo-Kazooie. It was made by many of the same people, so this should perhaps be expected. Moving on to the original Banjo-Kazooie, or more accurately the Xbox Live Arcade version of it, which is the version on the Rare Replay, I actually, for once, think I played too much of it. You see, I wanted a certain stop and swap item that you get from Banjo-Kazooie for Nuts and Bolts. However, since the save I use for Nuts and Bolts in making most of my build requests is a different save than the Grimgrindle account I used to pass Banjo-Kazooie on the Xbox Live Arcade, this meant that I had to start the game and play through it again. And, well, the item that I want in Banjo-Kazooie is gotten from Click Clock Woods, which is around about 80% through the game. So I got the egg, logged back into Nuts and Bolts, went to the area that you find the egg in the game, and, well, it wasn't there. And it was at this point that I remembered that I do in fact have one item from Stop and Swap in my main Nuts and Bolts save. So I figured this probably means that the game's getting confused because I've started a different save of Banjo-Kazooie which is already locked in with the game, and so if I want to get more Stop and Swap items, I have to do it in that game save. And so I went back into Banjo-Kazooie, looked to see if there was in fact an existing save saved on one of the USBs plugged into the Xbox, and indeed there was, which was only up to the point that I had gotten the first egg, which is unfortunately Treasure Trove Cove, which means essentially I had to play through the game once more up to about the 80% mark. Luckily this time the stop and swap feature actually worked and I got the item in Nuts and Bolts. It wasn't entirely what I wanted, but whatever. Either way, after 80%ing Banjo-Kazooie twice in one day, I'm not sure I'm going to play the game again, at least for a couple of days. I suppose it was at least a little bit fitting that I practically did an Easter egg hunt on an epic scale over the Easter weekend. And now it's about time to move on to the Star Wars celebrations element. There's a lot of Star Wars celebrations because it was an entire weekend, and I've not even watched all of it because there's literally hours upon hours of panels and whatnot, and if I watched all of that, I wouldn't have time to create content. I will no doubt eventually catch up to it as I put it on in the background when I edit footage or do the dishes or what have you, but at the moment I'm just going to talk about the three main trailers. So, firstly, the Star Wars Battlefront II trailer. It looks fantastic. In fact, surprisingly and shockingly good. I didn't even bother playing Star Wars Battlefront 1, as in the reboot, not the original Star Wars Battlefront 1, but the new Star Wars Battlefront 1, because it had no single-player campaign, and when you rarely, if ever, pay out for Xbox Gold, and your internet is at best completely unreliable, and at worst not even connected, there's really no way in heck that I'm going to pay full price for a game that's entirely multiplayer. However, luckily, it seems that there were enough people like me that were completely disinterested in the first Star Wars Battlefront because of the lack of single player, and so it seems they brought it back for the sequel. And it looks good. And in fact, it looks so good that if that trailer was a trailer for a movie rather than a game, I would be equally excited. You seem to play as an Imperial who is either Special Forces or a TIE Fighter pilot or both. They refer to them as Special Forces, but they very much look like they're wearing flight outfits, so who knows, we'll have to wait for the game. Either way, it appears to be set after the destruction of the second Death Star, which means you're going to be playing as the Empire on the run, and, well, let's be honest, it's always fun to play a bad guy. And it does say that in the multiplayer there's all eras, and even though it doesn't show any clones or droids, it does show Darth Maul, so hopefully in the multiplayer we'll be able to get some Clone Wars action. Moving straight along to the second trailer, namely the one for Star Wars Rebels Season 4. This trailer admittedly had the smallest impact on me. It was sort of just okay. It does sound like it's going to be the finale, which should be good. I'm not certain it is, but it does sound like Hera is making reference to the end, which is perhaps the battle at the end of Rogue One where we see the Ghost actually taking part. It was sort of weird though that they said a war veteran while showing Chopper, especially considering that they fight alongside Rex, who is actually a war veteran. I don't know, maybe I'm just being prejudiced against droids, because, well, to be fair, I don't actually like Chopper at all. But it doesn't really matter, because I'm going to of course watch it regardless. Now, moving on to the third trailer, which is the big one, which is the trailer for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. It looks good, and I'm very excited for it, which probably won't surprise anyone. I mean, it's not exactly a newsflash that a Star Wars fanboy is excited to see a new Star Wars movie. I'm not going to pick the trailer apart and analyze every scene, because I don't really want to watch it that closely, because I would rather go into it knowing as little as possible and experience it for the first time on the big screen. I mean, really, they could have probably got me just as excited if all that the trailer was a black screen that said Star Wars Episode 8 coming December 2017. But we do see ray training with a lightsaber, and we see starships starshipping and space stuff happening, so it all looks rather promising. And that's all I'll say about it until my initial reaction video after I've seen the movie, no doubt at the midnight screening. And that really brings us to the end of vlogcast number 10. If you yourself have been playing Yooka-Laylee, or if you've watched any of the trailers and you're excited for the games, or if you're excited for one of the many other things that no doubt were announced during Star Wars Celebrations that I missed, let me know in the comments. And so as always, to all of you who have joined since the last vlogcast, thanks for subscribing and we hope we can entertain you. And to all of you who were already subscribed, thanks for sticking around. And until next time, you have been watching vlogcast number 10, and I have been and still am Grim Grindle.